All right, guys. So now I'm in a favorite film mood, and this is a movie that I covered very early on in the channel, like maybe the fifth or sixth video. And I'll probably be doing this time to time, just going back and talking about just favorite films of mine that I covered way early in the channel that those videos never get fucking views. So I figured why not talk about Requiem for a Dream. This is another top 10 film of mine. This is an absolute masterpiece. I think this is Jared Leto's greatest performance in a film. I think this is Jennifer Connelly close up with some of her best work. Marlon Wayans, I think this is the best thing that he's been in, like a serious role, and this was a big change for him, like from all the comedy that he's used to, and he kills it in this. And then just Ellen Burstyn is one of my favorite actresses, and her performance in this film is so amazing. It's a crime against humanity that she was nominated for Best Actress for this movie, and she lost to fucking Julia Roberts for whatever stupid movie it was at the time. Such a shame. Like her performance, just her monologue to Harry when they're in the apartment together, and she starts crying and all that. The cameraman actually started tearing up filming her monologue. That's how amazing she did in that. Just that alone, she should have won that award. But I digress. Ellen Burstyn's phenomenal as Sarah Goldfarb. One of my favorite female actress performances in a movie, and one of the best monologues ever in a film. So let's talk Requiem for a Dream. God, I love this movie. Now, when it comes to Aronofsky, I'm not a huge fan of his, which is odd, since this isn't, like I said, a top 10 film for me. I like Pi a lot. I think Black Swan is decent. That's about all. Then right after that, I kind of just stopped following his career. I know he put out a few films in the last few years. I know he has a newer movie, Whale, I think. I want to check that out. But I got to check out more Aronofsky. But this film, Pi, I think are phenomenal. But this, so much better than Pi. And that's a great directorial debut. Now, I can't talk about this film without talking about the score from Clint Mansell and the Kronos Quartet. One of my top scores in a film, too. One of the best endings in a film for me is in this movie. How intense this story gets, and just what these people have to go through, man. Like, just seeing their addictions take over. And Hubert Selby Jr., the author of the book that this is based, which I own and I have read years and years ago. Excellent. Like, the movie is better for me just because of Aronofsky's work here. This is such a stylistic film. The editing in this is unreal. There are so many small shots, camera tricks and stuff. Like when Sarah starts like drinking her coffee, and it's like little montages of clips, and it's used brilliantly here. And the score is just the whole score. This is one of maybe a dozen, 20 tops scores that I own, and I listen to a decent amount. The entire score is just perfect in this film. And the main theme, Lux Eterna, got real popular after this. Like, you were hearing that main theme from this movie in trailers for other movies, in other movies and TV shows. Like, that's how iconic the theme song, like the main theme from this, got. And damn well deserves it, because God, this score is amazing. It's also cool that most of the film is scored. Like, there's a few scenes here and there that don't have any music playing, but for the most part, the score plays through most of this film. And that's another reason it makes it so great. It's its own character. The music is its own character in this movie, and the way it just builds and builds and builds as they sink into their addictions. And for anyone who hasn't seen this movie, I mean, it's about four people in Coney Island in the 70s. Sarah Goldfarb is Harry, Jared Leto's mother, and he's a heroin addict along with his friend, played by Marlon Wayans, Tyrone, and Marion, played by Jennifer Connelly. And it starts in the summer. Then it moves to fall, and then it moves to winter. And things just go downhill with each passing day, but each passing, season, you just see these people degrade into their addictions. Sarah, she wants to lose weight because she gets her fix is television at the beginning of this. Like, this isn't a movie just about drug addiction. This is about addiction in general. Like, Sarah is addicted to coffee. She's addicted to television. Like, a few of the characters, like Tyrone, is addicted to sex. Like, there's addictions of all types that are played in here, and her biggest addiction is food. And she gained weight over the years since her husband Harry died and left just her with her son Harry. Or, no, Seymour. Seymour's the father's name. Harry's the son. Whatever. So she gets a call that she was selected to be on television on her favorite show, which we have, Christopher McDonald, is that it? Who plays the guy on the show. Great performance in this too. And funnily enough, the phrase that they say, juice, like on the TV show, a funny life story about that. I used to work very shortly for this. Basically, it was just like selling like a car cleaner at a gas station, and you just keep commissions and stuff. They had a convention in Dallas that they flew a few of us down there. Only time I ever been to Texas. And their catchphrase was juice. Like, join us in creating excellence. But it was like a cult. Like, all you would hear is that and other cultish phrases. It's a whole thing, but it relates to this movie a little bit. I always think about it when I hear them screaming juice. And the dynamic between everybody here is fantastic. The whole relationship between Marion and Harry, the whole friendship between Tyrone and Harry, even Marion's friendship with Tyrone is cool too. Harry and his mother, Sarah, their relationship is so well explored here, and you feel his pain, you feel her pain, like just being on both sides of this, like her having a son who's a drug addict. And we see right at the beginning that she has the TV, her television set, chained to the wall, like to the radiator or something. And she says that it's for the burglars, but we know it's for him. Like, he's stolen and sold this TV over and over again for who knows how many years. And we get a little cameo from, what the hell is his name? Margolis from Scarface and Breaking Bad. He plays the pawn shop guy. Awesome performance, small little part by him too. Everyone does a phenomenal job in this movie. But the way that they show what it's like to be an addict like this, and then on the opposite side have Sarah looking at her son dealing with this addiction, and then herself falling into a terrible addiction when she wants to lose weight to fit into a red dress that she wore at his graduation, Harry's graduation, when Seymour, her husband, was alive. So she goes on a diet, she tries all that, none of that works, like no sugar for everything. And again, with the camera tricks and shots, like how it just, quick shots of what she's reading, says no sugar, and like whatever, breakfast, this, all of that. The camera work I can't say enough about in this movie, and the editing. One of the high points of this film. If it didn't have the score in this movie, I'd still think it's a masterpiece of a movie. But the score just elevates this film so much. I think I even said in the original video I did for this that this is a horror movie for me. Like, this easily could fall under horror. Seeing what these four people have to go through and the fates that they end up with. This is absolutely horrific. So it falls under the horror category for me. I love when Sarah's friend is dyeing her hair red, and then it comes out completely orange. I love her dialogue, man. Every line that Ellen Burstyn delivers in this film is just perfect. Wouldn't change a line by her or anyone else in this movie. And she ends up looking at her hair, and she's like, her friend's like, it's kind of orange. It's kind of red. She's like, if that's red, tell me what's orange. Great dialogue from her. All the usage of split screen, like where you have Marion and Harry like caressing each other and laying on the couch. And you see the screen split in half and it's just him and then it's her on the other side. All of that camera work is great throughout all this. Now, this was a very ballsy role for Jennifer Connelly to take. Like, you even see her just full frontal nudity and stuff standing in front of the mirror after then she sniffs some dope. And I think it's interesting that she snorts her heroin in this movie and they both shoot it. Just a little difference that they threw in that, I don't know if it adds anything, but it's different. Like, she's not as full blown into this as Tyrone and Harry are. So Tyrone knows this drug dealer Brody, and him and Harry have this plan that they're gonna buy some heroin in bulk. They're gonna sell it, and they're gonna work their way up until they can buy a pound of pure heroin and sell it and just be done and just do whatever they want with life, and they can live out their dreams. Tyrone doesn't have to scuffle on the street anymore every day. Same with Harry. Like, they can finally have these great lives by selling a bunch of heroin. It's fucking killing people all over the place. Now, I think it's very interesting, too, that, like I said, we know that Harry's been an addict for years, at least, from all the television sales that Margolis has in his little pawn shop book. His documents, his records. So he's been doing this for years. Same with Tyrone, it seems. With Marion, I'm not sure. I would guess, I forget if they say it in the book, but I would guess once they got together, he kind of dragged her into it. That's what I've always assumed. And it makes sense with like her not using needles and stuff. Like, it's like she got into it more recently. But I think it's interesting, though, how even though they've been doing this for years, just in this like less than a year time span, everything spirals out of control to the worst degree possible. And I wonder why. Like, I just attribute it to them selling drugs here. Like, they start selling it. They were probably just users for years before this. I'm sure they've been arrested. I'm sure that they got charges. But this less than a year time period that we see of their lives is when everything just spirals completely. Now, Marion sees this psychiatrist that her parents pay for. Like, her parents are paying for her apartment. Like, they're wealthy, and they're helping her out. She ends up going to him, the psychiatrist, every now and then for money if she needs it. And then as the story progresses, it's desperate, and she ends up fucking him for money. Then we get a line from her, from him, saying that when she says she wants the lights turned off, he says, "You never wanted them off before." That's heartbreaking, man. That's a gut punch when you get that line. Like, you find out that she's been fucking her psychiatrist behind Harry's back. Oh, that's terrible. The whole scene when, again, the editing is fantastic. When you see them just dealing off bags of heroin. And then just naturally, like the sound effect and the way that it repeats and everything, so good. So they start making a lot of money, and they're filling up shoe boxes and stuff that Tyrone has in a safe behind something in his apartment. This summer's great for them, until Harry finds out that his mom, Sarah, to lose weight for this red dress to be on TV, she went to a doctor, and this doctor, I love how they show this too, because so many doctors are like this. This doctor, she sees 2 times, maybe 3, I forget, in this. He never looks at her. Never even glances. I think maybe he might glance once, but he just talks and listens to her. Doesn't even listen to what she's saying when she's like starting to go into psychosis from the amphetamines, the diet pills that he gives her. Doesn't look at her one bit. She's just a number. She's just a patient. Doesn't care. Just there to push pills. And that's so common, even more so today. And they handle that great here. And then we just get the amazing monologue from Ellen Burstyn here, where Harry's at the apartment. He feels like he's been a shit son. I mean, and he has, but he wants to make it up to her. And he ordered a brand new television set for her. Great, nice little gesture. Then he starts seeing her and hearing her grinding her teeth. Like, bad. Like, and he knows that she's on speed. And finds out that she's getting it from this doctor, diet pills, and he's saying, you got to cut that stuff out. You know, like, this, it's going to it's going to kill you. You become a speed freak. And she's like, no, he's a good doctor and everything. So tragic what happens to her in this movie, man. Like, I think she has the worst fate out of everybody. Yeah, the monologue, man. It even tears me up sometimes. Just seeing Ellen Burstyn, and she is old here, she's getting older. And just having her like start crying to Harry, saying like, nobody needs me. You're gone. Like, your father's gone. Like, why do I even get up in the morning? Like, why do I do the dishes, make the beds? I do them, but why should I? I'm alone. I'm old. Like, it's heartbreaking, man. And like I said, the cameraman started crying filming this. So it just shows how powerful of a performance this was. Like, seriously, watching Ellen Burstyn in anything really puts me in a trance. Like, I cannot take my eyes off of her when she speaks, and just her facial expressions. And again, one of my favorite actresses. Then we see Harry leaves after having smoothed out that conversation into bring Marion, we'll have dinner, I'll make a pot roast and everything. And he says, that sounds good. He gets in the car and he starts breaking down because he knows this path very well. So he knows what his mom's in for, and he can't reason with her really. Breaking down in the cab, and then you see him shoot up instantly better. No pain, numbness, or the way they portray that is phenomenal too in this. Nice TV that he got her. Like, he did a good job there. And then just all the pills she has, man. That's another thing. Like I said with the doctor, just looking at all the pills that he prescribed her just to lose some weight. Gave her like 3 different doses of fucking uppers. She's got a green pill, a blue pill, a red pill. And then when Harry asks her, he's like, what about at night? And she says, oh, I take the yellow pill or whatever. I'm out in 30 minutes. Are you giving her like Valium or some shit too? So sad that doctors do this. The shot of Harry and Marion on the ground of his apartment, they look really pale. The lighting's really cool, and it's an above shot. Love that shot. One of my favorites in the movie. Then we have Brody, the drug dealer that Tyrone is getting the drugs from that they're selling. And there's a big war going on in Coney Island between the Italians, the mob, and the blacks. So they're trying to knock off all the black drug dealers. And Tyrone ends up getting arrested. There's a shootout in the van he's in. I don't know how he didn't get hit. But he gets arrested, and then they have to bail him out. Harry bails him out. He's up for consorting charges. Not looking good. Now we're entering into fall time. The whole argument between Harry and Marion, when the night before they're in bed, they're starting to withdraw and stuff, and they only have a little bit left. And Marion's the one who's saying, like, maybe we should dip in and stuff. Then he says, well, nothing for morning. And then the next morning, after they both, got high, they have nothing. And she starts going off on him, yelling, screaming, saying that you were so hot and heavy to push off last night. And he says that's complete bullshit. What a realistic argument. I'll just say that. Like, so well done. That is so realistic for anyone who's known addicts or been around them or are one yourself. Like, perfectly done here. Like, that's how that shit will change you. Like, instantly. That these people were so in love in summertime. And now that they're descending worse and worse into this addiction, you just see it all tearing apart. Especially when you have codependence like that and you have 2 addicts that are together in a relationship. Never works out. Unless you're thinking like Chris Rock when he says, like, but 2 crackheads could stay together forever. You gotta have something in common. It's a great stand-up special by him. So then Marion goes to ask for money from her psychiatrist, has dinner with them. I like the whole hallucination or like thought that she's having of stabbing him in the hand with the fork when he touches her hand. You smug fuck. Then it just snaps back to reality and she didn't do anything. Then it cuts to her fucking him. You don't see them fucking or anything, but like, she's blocking his view and he's stroking. Dude, it looks like he's got an 18-inch dick. The way that, like, if you watch this film, you watch that scene, look at, like, his hand motion. It's going like this, Like, it's so funny. I laugh every time I see this. And it's a disturbing scene, though. And then she walks out, she pukes into the garbage can, and then we get the title card, Fall. So now we're in autumn. And we have the main Lux Eterna theme kick in, which just heightens everything that's going on. You see Sarah putting the lipstick on, and she's in almost full on psychosis from the uppers. She's dancing around. Tyrone's sitting naked alone, looking at a picture of his mother. Everyone's starting to descend. And just when Marion gets back to the apartment and sits down next to Harry, oh man, like you feel it. You feel that. Like you know Harry knows she just got fucked by her psychiatrist. And it's okay because of the situation they're in and their addiction. Now they go to a Walgreens, Harry and Tyrone, because of the war going on and stuff. You have to cop for weight, and all the prices are doubled. So they go to a Walgreens to cop from this truck that came from Florida. I don't know if I'm sure maybe, but like this happens at a Walgreens, and I don't know. But Darren Aronofsky actually used real drug addicts and junkies for the scene. So most of the people and the extras in the Walgreens here and during the drug deal, all actual homeless people and drug addicts and stuff, and it adds to it. Like, it does. It looks a lot more realistic. They look like drug addicts. Marion's at home in full-on withdrawal. She's looking all over the apartment for anything, like a crumb. She's drinking, like, it looks like cough syrup or something, and she's losing her mind completely. And then just everything goes wrong. And some dumbass ends up pulling out a gun, shooting, and then they fire into the crowd. No one's shot. Again, just like with Brody in the car with Tyrone. He's not hit. None of these people are hit at all. They're using fucking like automatic weapons, shooting into this crowd. No one's killed. That's unbelievable. So and it's funny how you see like some of the drug addicts running after the Florida truck. It has oranges on it, like after it pulls out, because as soon as the guns go off and stuff, they slam the briefcases shut. Truck door closes, they're out. People are running down the streets after it. And man, when Harry gets back and starts just telling Marion that something happened, like, and this fucking junkie, and she just goes, did what? This junkie did what? And starts screaming at him. Again, so realistic, so excellently portrayed. You feel all the tension between them. So then Harry has the great idea. Let's drive down from Coney Island, New York, to Florida, to where this truck went, and cop down there. Then they can bring it back up, resell it. They'll be the people that everyone's scuffling the streets for. Not the best plan. There's an amazing, like time-lapse shot earlier in the film that I must have been talking and missed it. But when Sarah's cleaning her apartment, all sped up on uppers, and it pans like from the wall, and it shows her like in real fast forward time, cleaning everywhere, and it's panning through the apartment. Great shot, great sequence, and that was a very hard take for them to get. Like, great stuff, like behind the scenes with this movie, if you ever check it out. So after that huge argument, before he takes off with Tyrone to Florida, Marion is freaking out on him, and he ends up saying that Tyrone knows a guy, Angel, but he ain't selling dope. He's only trading it for pussy. So he writes the number down, gives it to Marion, and then he takes off to Florida. And then she ends up calling him, and it's Keith David, which we all love Keith David, and he's fantastic in this also. Man, it is so sad seeing how bad Sarah gets. Like when she's in her living room watching TV and her hair's so disheveled. And then on the TV, she's hallucinating herself beautiful the way she wants to look. And the fridge starts like coming at her, and she's afraid it's going to eat her. And the saddest part, man, is all her pill bottles on the desk right next to the table there spilled. The dosages missed all over the place, and she's just like eating them like M&Ms. She's going into full-on psychosis, and the whole conga part of the score here, dun, 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 so good. It works so great with this scene and another scene that it's in. And then she, after just full-on psychosis, hallucination, she rushes out of the apartment, and she's wandering the streets now in winter of Coney Island. Feed me, Sarah. Feed me, Sarah. Now, a little bit earlier on, when they pushed off in the middle of the night, Harry goes to the mirror and he has no shirt on. He notices that he has an abscess or something here in his vein. As they're driving to Florida, it looks so disgusting. Dude, this guy's arm is purple, just spreading. And then when he ends up shooting up into it, because he doesn't want to blow the vein. Oh, that's so nasty, man. Just seeing the needle go into that pus-filled purple wound. Oh, that's disgusting. And then Sarah's on the train, on the subway, and she's trying to get to Madison Avenue to the television place. She looks like a maniac. She sounds like a maniac. She's saying, I'm going to be on television. The score is kicking in. Oh, the last 20 minutes of this film is just perfection in every way. Just Marion's whole breakdown on the phone with Angel, that he's saying, like, he can't get anything. And she's crying hysterically, full-on withdrawals, and just say, come on, Angel, you gotta help me. Like, that's how fucking deep this shit will take you. And again, it's portrayed excellently in this film. This is probably the best film for me regarding addiction and the way it's portrayed. Excellent. Sarah's whole breakdown in the television station when she's just saying, like, I don't care about the prizes, I'll give them away. I just want to be on the show. Excellent. And the snot coming out of her nose, her hair's all fucked up, and sad, man. They see this crazy woman here, and they're saying it takes a long time to get called for a television show. And she's shaking. The cops come. They called the cops. Takes her away to the hospital. Then from here on, after the whole Keith David scene, when Marion finally calls him, meets up with him, and has to go down on him, suck his dick for these drugs and fuck him, then he tells her that there's a nice event on Sunday. he excludes it's a gangbang, like, and all of that with, like, people watching, spectators. Doesn't mention any of that. But she says, like any addict would say, like, I'm not really hooked. And he says, oh, I know. And he throws her the dope. He knows she'll be there. Like, that's another sad thing. They know. They know that this girl will be there, despite whatever it is. Right from when he shows his arm to Tyrone. And he's like, damn, man, like, how long have you been like that? He's freaking. He's like, we gotta get you to a fucking hospital. With the music playing, all the way to the end, the score doesn't stop. It keeps building. The way it slows down, ding, 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 ding. Excellent. The call with Marion, when Harry calls from jail, because, I mean, this is back in the day that they can just arrest you for being an addict. I don't know if they probably had stuff in their car still, and they searched the car. I'm guessing that's why they arrested them, but this guy looks like Stephen Colbert. Is that Stephen Colbert? It's not, but it looks like him a little bit. The doctor. I've seen him in so many things. I forget his name, but he comes and looks at his arm, and 2 seconds. He's like, I'll be right back. And he grabs the 2 vials of morphine off the table before leaving. And then they call the cops. And they're like approaching the South now. So this is the 70s. Tyrone's the only black guy here, like sitting in the waiting room. And they both get arrested. His phone call to Marion is heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. He knows he's never going to see her again. She's prepping to go to this orgy to get her drugs. And her just saying, will you come today? And the music kicking in and him crying, I'll come today. All of that is fucking amazing. Heartbreaking scene. Sarah in the hospital getting the tubes up her nose, and when they're trying to feed her because she won't eat. And oh, man, like, tell me this ain't a horror film. Like, tell me. So, Harry and Tyrone are taken to jail. His arm is screwed. His arm looks so nasty, like I said, but it just keeps getting worse. And when they're on the prison line, when they're, like, getting approved for work duty, that's Hubert Selby Jr., who plays the guard, who says, like, put your spineless back into it. And when they're working with the mashed potatoes, that's the author of the novel. Great cameo there. And then we have Marion. And this is why I said, what a fucking daring role for her to take. With her, I don't know if they use body doubles or anything in certain scenes. Maybe. That's not something I ever looked up on. If someone knows, let me know. If that's actually Connelly through this whole orgy scene. But it's her with this redheaded chick, and they're sniffing dope off the stage, and they're using double-sided dildos, and they're fucking each other, and there's a bunch of people watching, and they're throwing money. Like, this is her life now. Like, it's so depressing. And I know I've said it many times. The editing is absolutely phenomenal. This movie might have some of the best editing in a film for me. Just from all the camera tricks, the quick shots, the small montage of shots, all of that. The editing is flawless in this movie. Then we just get the ending with their fates, man. And Harry's arm is cut off right from here. The woman, the nurse, she says, he says Marion. And she says she'll be sent for, she'll come. He says, no, she won't, starts crying. And then they all lean over on their sides at the end of this, which I love. You got Lux Eterna playing, sounds great. And she's just gone, Sarah. Her friends come to visit her. Then they're crying outside of, like, oh, what the hell happened to their friend? She has gray hair. She's just electroshock therapy. Like, she's just gone. She's never going to be the same. Jennifer Connelly comes home from the orgy. She lays on the couch hugging her drugs and just turns over hugging them. So we're just going to assume that she became a prostitute after this or whatever and just did all this type of shit for her drugs. Harry's missing an arm. Who knows what happens to him? And Tyrone's withdrawing in prison. He's throwing up in the mashed potatoes and shit. Before I forget, one shot that's phenomenal in here is when Tyrone's screaming, holding the jail bars, and the shaking effect when he says, somebody fucking help us, please. Amazing shot. Love that. Another top shot in the film. But that's Requiem for a Dream. Great rewatch, but this is a film. This is a rare film on my top movies list that I can't watch often for obvious reasons. It's so depressing. So depressing seeing what happens to these people. But excellent movie, another masterpiece. So, all right, guys, that's Requiem for a Dream, and I'll have something out maybe later. Take care, guys.